This video will show you how to do the first 4 items on the checklist for the exhibit formatting on TBH sites. So we're going to do exhibit page title, the permalink, the exhibit types, and we're going to, actually this is just going to be for the first 3. We'll do that one as a separate video. So just these first 3 items. So we're going to do it for this page right here, Timber Hill, and I've got the page up here. This is the original, and right here is the exhibit. So the very first item is make sure the title is correct. So when we look at this page on the original site, we see that in the menu it calls it this very long name, Maine, and then over here it's called Timber Hill, last village of the Caddo Hada Joe in the Caddo homeland. Neither of these titles is exactly the right one that we want. I think actually this would make a good title for it for both purposes. So we're going to go, most of the time, these titles though are the same: treaty and abandonment, facts on the ground, fragments of a life. And so each of these other titles we would just keep the same. I would not make any changes. It's only this first one. And it's a very common pattern for the very first title to need to be changed. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep the title reasonably short, but also nicely descriptive. And I think this actually does a pretty good job. So what we're going to do is go into the exhibits and edit this page. Changing the title is super easy. We're just going to delete this. So now we have our title. We can check off number 1. But we also want to make sure that the title in the main section is correct. And in the main section right now, we've got this duplicated title. So we don't want that. In this case, we'll just we'll leave this last village in this part of the title here, and then we'll delete it up top. I don't think we want it to be a heading 2 though. I think we'll make this header 3. So header 3, sometimes you'll actually just completely delete this, but in this case, since this actually is helpful, we'll keep it as a kind of a subheading. So all this is correct, and so the next thing on our list here is the permalink. The permalink is this right here. And if you look at the page, you can see this has a really long URL, unnecessarily long, especially given that the fact that the title is much shorter now. So we're going to fix that. And the way we do that is just take that title and put it in this box. Now, if you know anything about URLs, you'll know that this is not an acceptable URL, but WordPress is nice to us and it will convert this for us. So if we hit OK here, it removes all the characters, it removes the diacritical marks, it removes the punctuation, and it replaces the spaces. So that works quite nicely for us. And we're done with that second part. So we got our permalink done. And now exhibit types. Now exhibit types for the most part are actually already going to be checked correctly for you. And in this site it's no exception. The exhibit types that you want in here are any part of the URL that comes before the page. So not this part, not this part, but this part. And sometimes there's going to be another one in here. It'll say something like kids or nature or something like that. If there are multiple ones in here, then we want both of them. In this case, there's just the one. And so all we need to do is make sure that it's checked here over in exhibit types. If it's not checked, 99% of the time it's actually going to be checked. I only put this in here because sometimes you're going to need to add a new page if a page didn't get copied over, and in that case you want to make sure that you get the exhibit types. in that case, you can look at other pages in the same grouping, and they will often be a good guide for what exhibit types you should have. So that's it for this section, and you can move on to the next one.